Hey folks, it's Samantha once again. Welcome back to another review for the Sylvester Stallone Marathon. I honestly don't know how long this one will be because there's not much to say about this. I wasn't even thinking it, but I know one guy mentioned this film and I didn't have it, so I found it somewhere to watch online. It's called an Alan Smithee Film, Burn, Hollywood Burn. And although IMDb says it came out in 1997, when you look up everywhere, the date is February of 1998, so I'm going to put 1998 regardless. It doesn't matter. I know it's considered one of the worst films of all time, and granted, I don't like this film really at all, but one of the worst films of all time. I've seen dozens of movies that are worse, but at the same time, this isn't that good either, so it's still a rant. And really what it is, for those who don't know, it's a very unfunny mockumentary. If you don't know what a mockumentary is, think of it as a fake documentary. This is Spinal Tap is a prime example, and a much better movie. Like, this Spinal Tap did right, what that did right, this did wrong. Now, an Alan Smithee film, Burn Hollywood Burn, it got a lot of horrible reviews, and it deserves it. It has a 3 point something on IMDb, it deserves it. Roger Ebert put it in some of his most hated films list. And Alan Smithee, for those who don't know, it's a if you're wondering, there's a TV on. So if you heard a kid screaming, which that's the TV, which is perfect because if you watch this, you'd be screaming too. Make the kids cry, make the people who starred in it cry. Alan Smithee is a moniker that used to be where if you directed a film, but you don't want your name on it, you could take your name off it and then use the name Alan Smithee. For example, Cheech Marin was in a film called The Shrimp on a Barbie. The Shrimp on the Barbie, I don't think it was that bad of a film. I thought it was okay. But if you see it, granted, if you go on IMDb and you look around, you'll find the real director. But when it came out, it said directed by Alan Smithee. Same with The Birds 2. When The Birds 2 went on cable, it said it was directed by Alan Smithee. In real time, it was directed by Rick Rosenthal, who did the original Halloween 2, among other flicks, but when it came out, it was directed by Alan Smithee. This was the last film to do that, because the actual director was Arthur Hiller. If that name sounds familiar, he directed 2 Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder flicks. He did Silver Streak, and he did my favorite of theirs, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, which I reviewed a few times. I love that film. Much better than this movie. Arthur Hiller did not like the cut. Instead, the preferred cut from the studio was by Joe Eszterhas, who was the producer and the writer of this film. If that name sounds familiar, he wrote Basic Instinct and he wrote Showgirls. So there was 2 cuts of the film. The studio went with Joe Eszterhas, the writer-producer's version. So Arthur Hiller said, take my name off it. So ironically enough, this is directed by Alan Smithee. And this is the film that made it so no one can ever do that again. The Director's Guild said, no more will we allow people to use Alan Smithee as a director credit. So if you directed it, it's your ass. Well, I think Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, that was another film that happened to. I mean, before this, with the Alan Smithee type of credit. Maybe nowadays they use different names, fake names, but you're not allowed to use Alan Smithee. The reason I'm talking about all this is more interesting than the fucking film. Because the film, Eric Idle, he's a guy whose real name happens to be Alan Smithee. So when people are like, well, why don't you use that fake name? I can't because my real name is Alan Smithee. He directed this film called Trio, an action film starring Sylvester Stallone, Jackie Chan, and Whoopi Goldberg. I know there's a written interview with Stallone. Someone asked him how he got roped into this, and he said he got tricked by his agent. His agent had told him that this was going to be a cameo in a film, and you were going to be in there with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis. And it was going to be the 3 of you. And when he got to the set, it was Jackie Chan and Whoopi Goldberg. and that it was a whole ploy by his agent to somehow keep Joe Eszterhas with him. And yeah, I know Sly felt he was tricked into it. At least that was what Sly said. I say that because I wasn't there. And the director, he said, Eric Idle, in the mockumentary, he directed this film. It's so bad, quote, it's worse than Showgirls. He stole the film. He's thinking of burning it. He doesn't want to give it back. And the whole mockumentary are people discussing really fucking nothing. It's just, a lot of it is Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal, for those who don't know, he was an actor from back in the day. He did films like Love Story, a film called The Driver. He was the dad in Malibu's Most Wanted, which is one of the roles I remember him the most from. And this other guy, Ryan O'Neal's a producer. The other guy heads the studio. Them talking to the camera. Once in a blue moon, you have Sly Stallone. He's in the film for probably not a couple minutes, spaced throughout the flick. He's the first thing you see in the movie. He goes, "Yo, Adrian!" You know, it's weird. I never one time with her, but we still had a child. It's really a religious movie, you know. I don't think in who wrote. Did Joe Eszterhas write that, or did Sly come up with that? It's not funny. It's bad dialogue. It's horribly written. It's very hammy. The humor's not sincere. It feels forced. And this is supposed to be an inside Hollywood joke as to how the businesses ran. But the only joke is what you're seeing on the screen. Like, they weren't even trying with this movie. If you're going to do a mockumentary, what makes this film bad and makes a film like This Is Spinal Tap good is This Is Spinal Tap. People will watch that and they thought it was real. They thought it was a real band, a real shitty band. And like, man, that band's so stupid. What the hell? But they made you believe it was real. And that makes it funnier. Here, everyone, you can tell they're trying so hard to act. And they're being very hammy. And nothing is sincere. And even when they showed the trailer to Trio, they show footage from Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and then it's Whoopi Goldberg turn around, don't fuck with me, shoot the camera. Jackie Chan turn around, don't fuck with me, shoot the camera. Sly Stallone turn around, don't fuck with me, shoot the camera. Don't fuck with us, Trio. And I'm thinking, first off, it's sad. That's probably the only time Jackie Chan and Sylvester Stallone are going to be on screen together. Is this bullshit? And there's nothing clever. There's nothing witty. There's nothing that, if you actually made the trailer similar to trailers of that time, but they would not curse in the trailer. They would not make one that's that haphazard. If you actually try and you make it real, that could be funnier. But they don't. It's just very lazy and lackadaisical, and it's like someone who's out of touch with Hollywood trying to do an inside Hollywood story. It's fucking sad when Coolio and Chuck D are some of the best parts of the movie. Just the third act of the film takes this turn where Eric Idle, he's sort of disappeared, and then he leads into this whole bit of business about African Americans in the film industry, and there's not many directors in there, and Chuck D and Coolio are the brothers, which they run that joke into the fucking ground. They're the brothers, and they want Final Cut, and they like Eric Idle, and they want to help them. They want to, and it's just a waste of everyone's time. Jackie Chan, he's absolutely wasted. He appears counted many times on your hand, and they give him nothing. going to the camera, don't fuck with me. Or once in a while he says, no die, no die, no die. I cannot die, no die, no die. That's it. I mean, Stallone once in a while talking about, again, he appears as many times as on your hand. One time talking about redemption is good for the soul, it's good for the box office, it's good for the country. I'm like, Sly is funnier in his interviews, his real life interviews, than in this movie. Because it's forced and it's hammy and it's not sincere. See, it's kind of like a found footage film where if you make it feel more real, then you become more effective. Same with a mockumentary. If you make us think it's more real, then it becomes more effective. Or if you're not going to do that, you gotta be more entertaining. There was one called Brutal Massacre, which was the making of a horror film. You had David Naughton and Brian O'Halloran from Clerks, and that at least was just more fun to watch than this. This was, even though it's an hour and 25 minutes, it was painful and it felt a lot longer. Shane Black makes an appearance very quickly as a writer. Joe Eszterhas has an appearance on screen. Billy Bob Thornton makes an appearance. He's like, figure they wanted me for Sly's part or Jackie's part, but they wanted my words, not my face. Ah, fuck it. And then he appears like one time during the end credits. That's all of Billy Bob Thornton. Wow, what a waste of him. I like Billy Bob Thornton. Whoopi Goldberg and Jackie Chan, once in the blue moon when they pop up, is just to the camera being very plain, very egotistical stars. Whoopi Goldberg saying, I'm not going to die. I'm Whoopi Goldberg. Or they probably shot her stuff less than a day. Jackie Chan, no die, no die. I cannot die, no die. Just a waste of talent. And Eric Idle, at times, his character is fucking annoying in this movie, irritating. He's at times with a psychologist. He keeps saying about the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Put my fist up your ass until you're going to pout. He doesn't say that part, but that's what I'm ready to say to him if you don't shut the fuck up. My fingers on your tongue, gonna pull it up your ass, and my foot's gonna be up in your face till you're dead. Jesus Christ. As Peter Rich, his character's threatened with death, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm supposed to be rooting for this guy, you're failing. Sly is forced to say some unfunny stuff once in a while when he appears. Yo, ho, ho, for a seasonal thing. No? Hey, I'm doing this for free, so don't blah, 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 blah. It's just... and it's like Brian O'Neill is the producer, talking about how, you know, maybe he put this woman to Eric Idle so that she could fuck the director and get him laid with a bimbo. Eric Idle talking about how the film's so bad and he needs to burn it. Harvey Weinstein, the chairman of Miramax at the time, I'm like, oh, he's going to play himself? No, he plays a private investigator? Why? The jokes, I mean, Ron O'Neill saying, I don't even eat meat. I'm a pasta man. How about be a condom man and get fucked? How about that? Be Aquaman and drown in the sea. How about that? And they tell stories about Eric Idle, like he beat up this AD and he threatened his agent, and then it gets this whole thing with African American filmmakers and how Eric Idle got led to Coolio and Chuck D, which is sad when those are the best parts of the fucking movie when they're talking and they meet with the producer. Coolio tells him, fuck you and fuck you and fuck you. And then Ron O'Neill, they want final cut for Eric Idle. And Ron O'Neill goes, over my dead body. And Chuck D's like, that's fine then. Die. That was like the best line in the movie. That was by Chuck D. I mean, they think they got final cut. The cops come in, raid their house. They don't find anything. Like, one of the few smirks I got is when this African American cop is talking with Coolio and Chuck D, and the cop's about how he hates their movies, and then I forget if it was Chuck D or Coolio. They said something like, "We don't make the Rodney King incident look like Disney did it." I mean, again, it says a lot when Coolio and Chuck D is the best parts of the fucking movie. And now it's in the media, and it's like they don't want it to be real life because instead of Newsweek, it's like Newsleak. Instead of the New York Times, it's like the New York Slimes. And I'm like, so you're using Sly and Jackie Chan and Shane Black as themselves, but yeah, on the flip side, you don't have Harvey Weinstein as a private investigator or, Newsleak instead of Newsweek. It's like, you don't even know what you're doing. Are you trying to be a fake documentary or are you just trying to be a film? Both aspects, you're sucking at it. And at one point, Coolio and Chuck D, they talk more about how, well, at this point, now people want Alan Smithee's life story and do a biography on him. And Coolio and Chuck D want to help Eric Idle, and they go, we want him to get final cut. And for some reason, at this point, they have this little person in between them. I think it's Billy Barty, the guy who's been in, I think he was in Willow. I forget what other films he's been in. I think Return of the Jedi. I could be wrong. I think Willow he was in. I think Time Bandits. I can't remember which one. But it's like, why is that there? Just random? And now Eric Idle, at one point, like the woman who I guess maybe kissed him earlier comes by, blows him a kiss, and Eric Idle looks at her and then does this, and the Tarzan yell, the Tarzan yell comes out of his mouth. It's not him doing the Tarzan yell, it's those old movies, that sound clip comes out of his mouth. And now the studio wants to work with Alan Smithee on his life story. And then the end credits last for like 8 minutes, interspersed with non-funny. I don't want. Some are outtakes, but some are just, I guess, deleted material. This movie is a pile of fucking nothing, man. It's a pile of nothing. Waste of time, waste of space. I mean, thankfully it was only an hour and, without the end credits, an hour and 17 minutes. Thankfully. But it doesn't offer any insight into Hollywood. It doesn't offer any clever, witty dialogue, any witty diatribes about the Hollywood industry and what it does to this and that. It's just not funny. It's boring. It's slow. Eric Idle's character is fucking annoying. Most of the time, it's Ron O'Neal and as the producer, and the guy who is the Universal, not Universal, but he's like a movie exec. And I forget what the actor's name was. Mainly like those two talking to the camera, then Eric Idle talking to the camera, and then once in a while, oh, there's Shane Black. There's this and that. Just lame, unfunny, and piss poor. I can't believe I spent 18 minutes talking about this. I wanted it to be shorter, but oh well. Either way, I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. I figure, Stallone's only. This is a Stallone marathon. You could probably find his stuff on YouTube. Again, let's see. The beginning of the film where he talked about Yo Adrian, the part where they're doing the movie trailer of Trio. He's like, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to Sean Penn your ass, meaning punch him. The talking about redemption. Yo ho ho is a seasonal thing. There's like one other time in between there when he's like playing pool. In the end credits, he goes, comedy is life, and I'm fucking starving. I will admit that got kind of a smirk for me during the end credits. But I just told you it. I mean, there's a reason why, to me, it makes perfect sense why this film got hated on. This is not a film that, Rainbow 3, Cobra, Over the Top. I don't understand why people hate it. Dick Card. I don't understand why people hate it. No, this I perfectly understand why. If you want to see a good version of mockumentary, watch This Is Spinal Tap. That's a funny film. Hell, Brutal Massacre. That's a more decent film than this. And if you don't like Brutal Massacre, watch this movie because it's even more brutal. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Take care. And stay tuned for more films for the Stallone Marathon later.